The vast expanse of space had always beckoned humanity, a siren call of endless possibilities. But on that fateful day in 2157, as the starship Horizon breached the outer limits of our solar system, no one could have predicted the cataclysmic encounter that awaited. Captain Elena Rodriguez stood on the bridge, her dark eyes fixed on the swirling cosmos beyond the viewscreen. The Horizon, Earth's most advanced long-range exploration vessel, hummed with anticipation. This mission marked humanity's first true venture into deep space, carrying the hopes and dreams of billions. "Captain, we're picking up an anomaly," reported Lieutenant Chen, his fingers dancing across the sensor console. "It's unlike anything we've ever seen." Elena leaned forward, her heart racing. On screen, the view screen flickered, revealing a massive object materializing from the inky blackness of space. It defied description, a sprawling construct of impossible geometry, its surface a shifting tapestry of iridescent metal and pulsing energy. "My God," whispered Dr. Samantha Reeves, the mission's chief xenobiologist. "It's alive." Before anyone could respond, the ship shuddered violently. Alarms blared as systems began to fail across the board. "We're caught in some kind of tractor beam," shouted Chen, frantically working to regain control. Elena gripped her chair, her mind racing. First contact. This was what they had trained for, dreamed of. But not like this, not as helpless prey. The Horizon was pulled inexorably towards the alien megastructure. As they drew closer, the true scale of the thing became apparent. It dwarfed their ship like a whale next to a minnow. Suddenly, a blinding light engulfed the bridge. When it faded, Elena found herself elsewhere. She stood in a vast chamber, its walls rippling with otherworldly energy. Around her, she saw the stunned faces of her bridge crew. And before them stood the others. They were tall, easily 8 feet in height, with bodies that seemed to shimmer between solid and ethereal states. Multiple limbs, Elena couldn't quite count how many, moved with unsettling grace, but it was their faces that struck her most profoundly. Utterly alien, yet undeniably intelligent, with compound eyes that regarded the humans with cold curiosity. One of the beings stepped forward, its form solidifying. When it spoke, the words reverberated directly in Elena's mind. "Humans of Earth, we are the Zarkov. Your intrusion into our space has been noted." Elena swallowed hard, forcing herself to step forward. "We come in peace," she said, her voice steady despite her racing heart. "We are explorers, seeking to learn and—" The Zarkov's mental voice cut her off. "Your intentions are irrelevant. Your species has been observed. You are violent, unpredictable, a potential threat." Fear gripped Elena's chest, but she pressed on. "We have our flaws, yes, but we are also capable of great compassion, of incredible achievements. Please, give us a chance to—" Silence. The command thrummed through her skull. "We do not destroy indiscriminately. You will be given a chance to prove your worth." The air shimmered, and a holographic image appeared. It showed a planet, harsh, alien, beautiful in its desolation. "Behold Nexus Prime," intoned the Zarkov. "A world of our creation, designed to test the mettle of species we encounter. You will send your best, your warriors, your thinkers, your innovators. They will face trials that will push them to their limits and beyond." The being's eyes seemed to bore into Elena's soul. "If they survive, if they prove themselves worthy, your species will be spared. Fail, and Earth will be cleansed to make way for more, promising life." Shock rippled through the human crew. Dr. Reeves found her voice first. "You can't be serious. This is monstrous." The Zarkov turned its unsettling gaze upon her. "The universe is monstrous, little one. Only the worthy survive. You have one of your Earth months to prepare your champions. Choose wisely." With another flash of light, Elena and her crew found themselves back on the horizon. The alien megastructure was gone, leaving only stars in its wake. For a long moment, silence reigned on the bridge. Then Elena's comm link crackled to life. It was Earth Control, their voices frantic with concern after long minutes of lost contact. Elena took a deep breath, steeling herself for the weight of what she must now tell humanity. Their first encounter with alien life had not brought enlightenment or fellowship. Instead, it had brought an ultimatum, a challenge that would determine the very fate of their species. As she began her report, Elena's mind raced. Who would they send? How could they prepare for the unimaginable trials that awaited on Nexus Prime? The clock was already ticking, each second bringing them closer to humanity's greatest test. One thing was certain: the people of Earth would have to come together as never before. Their ingenuity, their adaptability, their indomitable spirit, these would be the weapons they wielded against the cosmic trial that lay ahead. For in this crucible of alien design, humanity would either prove its worth to the stars or face extinction. The month following first contact passed in a blur of global panic, frantic diplomacy, and unprecedented cooperation. As news of the Zarkov ultimatum spread, Earth's nations set aside their differences, united by the common threat of annihilation. In a fortified complex beneath the Rocky Mountains, the newly formed Earth Defense Council convened. Military leaders, scientists, and world leaders argued fiercely over who to send and how to prepare them for the trials of Nexus Prime. Dr. Amelia Zhao, a brilliant physicist with a reputation for thinking outside the box, addressed the assembly. "We can't approach this like a traditional military operation," she insisted. "The Zarkov aren't testing our ability to conquer, they're testing our worth as a species." General Marcus Blackwood, a grizzled veteran of countless conflicts, grudgingly nodded. "Agreed. We need a team that represents the best of humanity, not just our strength, but our ingenuity, our adaptability." After weeks of heated debate and rigorous testing, a team of 7 was chosen. Major Sarah Connor, a decorated Special Forces operative with unparalleled survival skills. Dr. Raj Patel, a polymath genius, equally at home in biology, engineering, and theoretical physics. Zhan Liu, a master hacker and AI specialist, able to interface with and manipulate complex systems. Aisha Okafor, an environmental engineer with expertise in hostile terrain adaptation. Jake Redhawk, a wilderness guide and expert tracker from the Navajo Nation. Dr. Yuki Tanaka, a xenolinguist and cultural anthropologist specializing in non-human communication. Carlos Vega, a former astronaut and mechanical engineer with unparalleled zero-G experience. As the chosen 7 gathered for their final briefing, the weight of their responsibility was palpable. They carried not only their own lives, but the fate of every man, woman, and child on Earth. General Blackwood addressed them, his voice gruff with emotion. "You've been chosen not just for your individual skills, but for your ability to work as a team. Whatever happens on Nexus Prime, you stand together. You are humanity's best hope." Dr. Zhao stepped forward, holding a sleek metallic case. "We've prepared some equipment that might give you an edge." She opened the case, revealing an array of high-tech devices. Adaptive camouflage suits, multi-spectrum scanners, and our latest breakthrough nanite injectors that can temporarily enhance your physical capabilities. Sarah Connor, the team's de facto leader, examined the gear with a critical eye. "It's impressive, but we can't rely on technology alone. The Zarkov will have accounted for that." Reg nodded, his mind already racing with possibilities. "We'll need to be creative, to use these tools in ways they don't expect." As the team made their final preparations, a somber mood settled over the complex. Family members said their goodbyes, knowing they might never see their loved ones again. Aisha hugged her young daughter tightly, fighting back tears. "I'm doing this for you," she whispered, "for all of us." Jake Redhawk stood alone, his weathered face turned to the stars. He softly chanted a prayer in his native tongue, asking for strength and guidance from his ancestors. Carlos and Yuki pored over the scant data they had on Nexus Prime, trying to glean any advantage they could. The atmosphere is breathable, Yuki noted, but the gravity is 1.3 times Earth normal. It'll take some adjusting. Zen, meanwhile, was busy uploading a dizzying array of data into a compact quantum computer. "I'm bringing the sum total of human knowledge," she said with a grim smile. "Let's hope it's enough." As the appointed hour approached, the 7 champions of humanity donned their adaptive suits and gathered on the launch pad. A sleek shuttle, purpose-built for this mission, waited to carry them to their rendezvous with the Zarkov. Sarah Connor looked at her team, seeing the mix of fear and determination in their eyes. "Whatever happens," she said, her voice steady, "we face it together. We are the best humanity has to offer. Let's show these aliens what that really means." With a roar of engines, the shuttle lifted off, carrying Earth's hopes and dreams into the starry void. As they accelerated towards their destiny, each member of the team reflected on what they were leaving behind and what they were fighting for. They had trained, they had prepared, but nothing could truly ready them for the alien world that awaited. Nexus Prime loomed in their future, a crucible that would test them to their very limits. As Earth faded to a blue marble behind them, a steely resolve settled over the team. They were humanity's champions, chosen to face an impossible challenge, but they carried with them the indomitable spirit of their species, the same spirit that had taken them from caves to the stars. The trials of Nexus Prime lay ahead. Humanity's future hung in the balance. But in that moment, flying towards an uncertain destiny, Earth's champions were united in a single thought. They would not go quietly. They would show the Zarkov and the universe exactly what humanity was capable of. The crucible awaited. The descent to Nexus Prime was a harrowing experience. As the shuttle pierced the planet's atmosphere, violent turbulence threatened to tear the craft apart. Carlos Vega's expert piloting skills were pushed to their limits as he navigated through swirling storms of alien gases and electromagnetic disturbances. "Brace for impact," Carlos shouted as they plummeted towards the surface. With a bone-jarring thud, the shuttle skidded across rocky terrain before coming to a stop at the edge of a vast alien forest. As the team stumbled out of the battered craft, they got their first real look at Nexus Prime. The sky was a deep purple, with 2 suns, one blue, one red, hanging low on the horizon. The air was thick and humid, carrying strange, acrid scents. Sarah Connor quickly took charge. "Status report, everyone. Any injuries?" Miraculously, the team had survived the crash landing relatively unscathed, though their equipment hadn't fared as well. Several of the high-tech devices were damaged or destroyed in the impact. Dr. Raj Patel examined one of the few functioning scanners. "The atmosphere is breathable, as we expected, but there are trace elements I can't identify. We should use the respirators until we're sure it's safe." Aisha Okafor was already studying the alien vegetation surrounding them. "The plant life here is unlike anything I've ever seen. Some of these structures, they almost look mechanical." Jake Redhawk knelt to examine the ground. "The soil is strange. It's almost reactive. Watch your step, everyone." As if on cue, the ground beneath Jake's feet suddenly shifted, nearly swallowing him whole. Sarah and Carlos quickly pulled him to safety as the Earth settled back into place. "This whole planet is a death trap," Jen Liu muttered, her eyes darting nervously. Dr. Yuki Tanaka placed a reassuring hand on Jen's shoulder. "Remember, this is a test. Everything here has a purpose. We need to understand the logic behind it." Sarah nodded grimly. "Yuki's right. We're not just surviving here. We're being evaluated. Every move we make, every decision, it all counts." As the team salvaged what they could from the shuttle and prepared to venture into the alien wilderness, they became acutely aware of being watched. Hidden cameras, almost invisible to the naked eye, tracked their every move. Their first challenge became immediately apparent, finding a source of water. The crash landing had damaged their water reclamation system, leaving them with only a few days' supply. Using their limited scanning equipment, they detected a large body of liquid several kilometers to the north. With no other choice, they set off, wary of the dangers that might lurk in the alien forest. The journey was treacherous from the start. The very plants seemed alive in a way Earth vegetation never was. Vines would suddenly lash out, trying to ensnare the unwary. Spores released from bulbous growths caused disorientation and hallucinations. Jake's tracking skills proved invaluable as he guided them through the least dangerous paths. Ice's environmental expertise helped them identify which plants were likely to be hostile. As they pushed deeper into the forest, the team encountered their first alien fauna, a pack of predators that resembled a nightmarish fusion of wolf and insect. The creatures moved with terrifying speed and coordination, quickly surrounding the humans. Sarah and Carlos took defensive positions, but their weapons seemed to have little effect on the alien creature's chitinous armor. It was Raj who found the solution. "The soil," he shouted. "It's reactive to certain frequencies." Quickly, he and Jen recalibrated one of their sonic devices. The high-pitched whine it emitted caused the ground beneath the creatures to roil and churn, sending them fleeing back into the underbrush. The victory was short-lived, however. As night fell, far too quickly to be natural, the temperature plummeted to lethal levels. The team huddled together, their adaptive suits struggling to keep them warm. "We need shelter," Sarah said through chattering teeth. "Now." It was Yuki who made the crucial observation. "Look at the plants," she said, pointing to large bulbous structures. "They're closing up, protecting themselves from the cold." With no other options, the team used their remaining functional equipment to cut their way into one of the largest plant structures. Inside, they found a warm, albeit uncomfortably moist environment. As they settled in for the night, exhausted and on edge, the reality of their situation truly sank in. They had survived the first day on Nexus Prime, but it had pushed them to their limits. And this was likely just the beginning. "We need to be smarter," Raj said, his mind racing with possibilities. "We can't just react. We need to understand this place, to see the patterns." Sarah nodded in agreement. "We've been thinking like humans on an alien world. We need to start thinking like the Zarkov. What are they really testing? What do they want to see from us?" As the team drifted into an uneasy sleep, each of them pondered that question. Outside, the alien night pulsed with unknown dangers. And somewhere, watching their every move, the Zarkov waited to see if humanity's champions would rise to the challenge or fall like so many species before them. The trial had only just begun, and Nexus Prime had many more horrors and wonders in store for Earth's brave explorers. As dawn broke on Nexus Prime, painting the alien sky in hues of deep crimson and gold, the human team emerged from their makeshift shelter. They were battered, exhausted, but alive, and more determined than ever. "We need to reach that water source," Sarah Connor reminded them, her voice hoarse from the dry air. "But we also need to start thinking beyond mere survival. Remember, we're here to prove humanity's worth." As they resumed their trek through the hostile terrain, Raj Patel and Dan Liu worked feverishly to repair and repurpose their damaged equipment. Using salvaged parts and a healthy dose of human ingenuity, they managed to boost the range of their scanners. "I'm picking up some strange readings," Jen announced, frowning at her jury-rigged device. "There's a large concentration of metallic elements about 2 kilometers east. It doesn't look natural." Jake Redhook, who had been scouting ahead, returned with troubling news. "The path to the water is blocked. Some kind of energy barrier. I don't think it's natural either." The team exchanged worried glances. It was clear the Zarkov were actively manipulating their environment, hurting them towards something. But what? "We don't have much choice," Sarah decided. "We head east. Maybe we'll find answers there. Stay alert, everyone." As they changed course, the alien forest grew denser, the vegetation more bizarre. Aisha Okafor noticed a pattern in the plant life. These species, they're not evolving naturally. It's like they've been engineered to become progressively more dangerous. Her observation proved prophetic. The team soon found themselves fighting through a gauntlet of toxic spores, razor-sharp leaves, and carnivorous vines. Their suits, already damaged from the crash, began to fail under the constant assault. Just as it seemed they couldn't go on, they broke through into a clearing. At its center stood a structure that defied explanation, a towering spire of shifting metal and pulsing energy, eerily similar to the Zarkov ship they had encountered in space. "It's some kind of outpost," Carlos Vega breathed, awe and fear mingling in his voice. As they cautiously approached, a figure emerged from the base of the spire. For a heart-stopping moment, the humans thought it was one of the Zarkov, but as it drew closer, they realized it was something else entirely. The creature was roughly humanoid, but with iridescent scales covering its body and large, multifaceted eyes. It regarded the humans with a mixture of fear and curiosity. Dr. Yuki Tanaka stepped forward, her hands raised in a gesture of peace. She tried several greeting protocols, but the alien didn't seem to understand. Then, to everyone's shock, it spoke, in broken, halting English. "You, like us. Trapped, tested." The revelation hit the team like a thunderbolt. They weren't alone on Nexus Prime. There were other species here, other contestants in the Zarkov's cosmic game. Through a combination of Yuki's linguistic skills and rudimentary sign language, they learned the alien's story. Its name, as near as they could pronounce it, was Thintra. Its species, the Valori, had been brought to Nexus Prime years ago for their own trial. They had failed to reach the Zarkov's benchmarks and were now trapped here, used as part of the tests for new arrivals. "This changes everything," Sarah said, her mind racing with the implications. "The Zarkov aren't just testing us, they're using an entire ecosystem of captive species." Reg nodded, a spark of excitement in his eyes. "And that means we have potential allies. Sintra, can you show us where to find water?" The Valori nodded enthusiastically, clearly eager to help. As they followed their new guide, the humans peppered Sintra with questions, learning more about Nexus Prime and the other species trapped there. They soon reached a hidden oasis, a spring of clear water protected by Valori technology. As the team gratefully quenched their thirst, Jen made another breakthrough. "I think I can interface with the Valori tech," she said, examining a device Sintra had shown them. "It's not too dissimilar from some of our quantum computing principles. If I can hack in, we might be able to access the Zarkov systems controlling this planet." A plan began to form. The humans realized that their true test might not be simply surviving Nexus Prime, but finding a way to subvert the very nature of the trial itself. "We're not going to just pass this test," Sarah declared, a fierce light in her eyes. "We're going to break it. We'll show the Zarkov that humanity doesn't just adapt. We change the rules of the game." As night fell once more, the human team and their new Valori allies began to prepare. They would rest, recover, and plan. Tomorrow, they would begin their counter-offensive against the Zarkov. In working with Sintra and the Valori, the humans had already demonstrated one of their species' greatest strengths, the ability to form alliances, to find common ground with those different from themselves. It was a quality the Zarkov, in their cold calculation, had failed to account for. The trial of Nexus Prime was far from over, but for the first time since they had arrived on this deadly world, Earth's champions felt a glimmer of hope. They were no longer just survivors, they were revolutionaries, preparing to challenge the very cosmic order the Zarkov had established. As they drifted off to sleep, each member of the team knew that the coming days would push them to their absolute limits. But they were ready. They would show the Zarkov and the universe exactly what humanity was capable of when pushed to the brink. The game was about to change. The alliance between the humans and the Valori proved to be a turning point in their struggle against the Zarkov's trials. As dawn broke on their third day on Nexus Prime, the team set about putting their ambitious plan into action. Zhang Liu, working tirelessly through the night, had made significant progress in interfacing human technology with Valori systems. "I think I've cracked it," she announced, her eyes bloodshot but triumphant. "We can access some of the lower-level Zarkov protocols controlling the planet's ecosystem." Dr. Raj Patel grinned, his mind already racing with possibilities. "If we can predict and manipulate the environmental hazards, we might be able to turn them to our advantage." Sarah Connor nodded approvingly. "Good work. But remember, we're not just trying to survive anymore. We need to send a message." The team split into groups, each tackling a different aspect of their counteroffensive. Aisha Okafor and Jake Redhawk, guided by Xintra's knowledge of the terrain, set out to gather samples of the most resilient and adaptive plant species they could find. "If we can understand how these plants survive in this hellscape," Eshel explained, "we might be able to apply those principles to protect ourselves and maybe even terraform hostile environments back home." Meanwhile, Carlos Vega and Dr. Yuki Tanaka worked on establishing communication with other trapped species on Nexus Prime. Using a combination of Repopo's tech and Yuki's sinolinguistic skills, they began to build a network of resistance across the planet. The Zarkov's greatest mistake, Yuki observed, was bringing together so many different species and expecting them not to cooperate. They underestimated the power of shared adversity to unite diverse peoples. At the heart of their operation, Raj and Jen worked feverishly to subvert the Zarkov's control systems. It was painstaking work, requiring them to decipher alien code more complex than anything they'd ever encountered. "It's like trying to play chess in 4 dimensions," Raj muttered, rubbing his temples. "But every time we crack a piece of it, I feel like we're unlocking secrets of the universe." As the day wore on, their efforts began to bear fruit. Using their newfound control over the environment, they were able to redirect the most dangerous predators away from their base camp. They manipulated weather patterns to create a temperate zone around their alliance's growing settlement. But the true breakthrough came when they discovered a way to tap into the planet's geothermal energy. By redirecting this power through the Valerie's crystalline technology, they were able to create a sustainable energy source that could power their burgeoning resistance indefinitely. "We're not just surviving now," Sarah declared as she surveyed their growing encampment. "We're thriving. We're building something here." The Zarkov, however, were not idle. As the humans and their allies made progress, the trials became increasingly difficult. Massive storms racked the planet. New, even deadlier predators were introduced into the ecosystem. The very ground beneath their feet became unstable, with earthquakes and sudden sinkholes threatening to swallow them whole. But for every new challenge, the human team found an innovative solution. When acid rain began to fall, Rage and Aisha quickly developed a neutralizing compound using native plant extracts. When swarms of microscopic, metal-eating insects threatened their technology, Jen reprogrammed them to act as a living repair system for their equipment. Each victory, each ingenious solution, was not just a means of survival, it was a message to the Zarkov. Humanity would not be broken. They would not merely endure. They would create, adapt, and overcome. As their 5th day on Nexus Prime drew to a close, the team gathered to assess their progress. The mood was cautiously optimistic, but they knew the greatest challenges still lay ahead. "We've proven we can survive here," Sarah said, addressing the assembled humans and aliens. "Now we need to prove we can change the very nature of this world. The Zarkov see this planet as a test. We need to show them it can be something more, a home, a place of cooperation and growth." Raj nodded, his eyes alight with inspiration. "I've been studying the planet's core. I think, with the right application of our combined technologies, we might be able to stabilize its erratic systems. We could transform Nexus Prime from a death trap into a viable world. The implications were staggering. If they could reshape an entire planet designed to kill them, what message would that send about humanity's potential?" As night fell, casting an alien glow across their makeshift city, Earth's champions prepared for their greatest challenge yet. They had survived the trials of Nexus Prime. Now they would attempt to master it completely. The Zarkov had created this world as a crucible, a place to break the will of species they deemed unworthy. But in doing so, they had given humanity the perfect stage on which to demonstrate their greatest strengths: innovation, cooperation, and an indomitable will to not just survive, but to create a better future. As the team settled in for a few hours of rest before their most ambitious undertaking yet, each of them felt a mix of anticipation and resolve. Tomorrow, they would attempt to reshape a planet. Tomorrow, they would show the Zarkov and the universe exactly what humanity was capable of when pushed to its limits. The final trial awaited, and humanity was ready to face it head-on. The final day on Nexus Prime dawned with an air of nervous anticipation. The human team, along with their diverse alien allies, gathered around a makeshift command center, ready to embark on their most audacious plan yet: the complete terraforming and stabilization of the hostile planet. Sarah Connor surveyed the determined faces before her. What we're about to attempt has never been done before. We're not just trying to survive the Zarkov's test anymore. We're rewriting the rules entirely. Everyone clear on their roles? Nods of affirmation rippled through the group. Months of preparation had led to this moment. Raj Patel and Zhen Liu manned the central control station, their fingers dancing across a hybrid interface of human and alien technology. "We've mapped the planet's geological stress points," Raj explained. "If we can trigger simultaneous releases at these key locations, we should be able to stabilize the core." Aisha Okafor and Jake Raidhawk led teams to strategic locations across the planet's surface. Their job was to plant genetically modified seedlings, the result of their research into Nexus Prime's most resilient flora. These plants, once activated, would rapidly grow and help purify the atmosphere. Carlos Vega piloted a makeshift aircraft, cobbled together from shuttle parts and Valori tech. He would be responsible for dispersing a specially engineered compound into the upper atmosphere designed to regulate the planet's erratic weather patterns. Dr. Yuki Tanaka coordinated communication between all teams, including their ever-growing network of alien allies. Her linguistic skills had been crucial in building a coalition of species, all working together towards a common goal. As final preparations were made, a tense silence fell over the group. They all knew the risks. If their calculations were off by even a fraction, they could trigger a chain reaction that would tear the planet apart. Sarah took a deep breath. "On my mark. 3, 2, 1, execute." The next few hours were a blur of frantic activity. The ground shook violently as Raj and Jen triggered controlled geological events across the planet. Massive geysers of steam erupted from fissures, releasing pent-up pressure from the core. Aisha and Jake's teams raced against time, planting their modified seedlings in the wake of the geological disruptions. Within minutes, the plants began to grow at an astonishing rate, their roots stabilizing the newly churned earth. High above, Carlos piloted his craft through turbulent skies, releasing clouds of their atmospheric compound. Slowly but surely, the violent storms began to calm, giving way to gentler weather patterns. Throughout it all, Yuki's voice was a constant presence, coordinating movements and relaying crucial information between teams. The alien allies proved invaluable, their unique abilities and knowledge of the planet view ending the humans' efforts. As the hours wore on, the team faced challenge after challenge. Unforeseen reactions threatened to derail their plans. The Zarkov, seemingly aware of what was happening, threw increasingly deadly obstacles in their path. But for every setback, the human team found a solution. When a massive chasm threatened to swallow one of their outposts, Jake used his tracking skills to locate a hidden underground river, which they redirected to fill the gap. When swarms of hostile nanobots attacked their equipment, Zhen reprogrammed them on the fly, turning them into a protective shield. It was Raj who faced perhaps the greatest challenge. As they neared the critical point in stabilizing the planet's core, he realized their calculations had been off. The core was destabilizing faster than they had anticipated. In a moment of brilliant improvisation, he rerouted power from their entire network, using the energy to create a magnetic field that held the core together long enough for their other measures to take effect. As the sun began to set on their sixth day on Nexus Prime, an eerie calm settled over the planet. The team regrouped at their base camp, exhausted but hopeful. "Did it work?" Sarah asked, her voice hoarse from hours of shouting orders. Reg checked their sensors, a look of disbelief spreading across his face. It's stabilizing. The core is settling into a regular pattern. Atmospheric toxins are down 60% and falling. We did it. We actually did it. A cheer went up from the assembled humans and aliens alike. They had done more than survive the Zarkov's trial. They had fundamentally transformed it. As if on cue, the air shimmered, and a group of Zarkov materialized before them. Their alien features were unreadable, but there was a new tension in their stance. The lead Zarkov spoke, its thoughts reverberating in their minds. "You have exceeded the parameters of our test." Sarah stepped forward, standing tall despite her exhaustion. "We rejected the premise of your test. You wanted to see if we could survive your trials. We showed you we could thrive, and more importantly, that we could work together with other species to create something greater than ourselves." The Zarkov was silent for a long moment. Then, to everyone's shock, they did something utterly unexpected. They bowed. "Humanity has proven itself to be more than we anticipated. You have demonstrated not just survival skills, but the ability to adapt, to innovate, and to unite disparate peoples towards a common goal. These are qualities we have not seen in millennia of testing species." The implications of their words sank in. Humanity hadn't just passed the test, they had fundamentally challenged the Zarkov's entire worldview. "What happens now?" Yuki asked, voicing the question on everyone's mind. The Zarkov straightened, their forms shimmering slightly. "You have earned more than mere survival. You have earned a place among the stars. We will welcome humanity, and the allies you have made here, into the greater galactic community." As the sun set on a transformed Nexus Prime, Earth's champions realized the true magnitude of what they had accomplished. They had not only saved their own species, but had opened the door to a new era of interstellar cooperation. The Zarkov's trial, intended to test humanity's worth, had instead revealed humanity's greatest strengths, their creativity, their adaptability, and their capacity for bringing out the best in others. As they prepared to return home, carrying with them the promise of a new future for Earth and all their newfound allies, each member of the team knew that this was only the beginning. Humanity had proven itself worthy of the stars, and the stars, it seemed, were finally ready for humanity.